Life's rough when you depend on me to give you weapons, items, armor, information for your journey, and still you still push it and try to hurt me. Life's tough when you're an NPC. Life's rough when you depend on me.
You know, if you want to turn this video off, you can. Like, I'm not going to fault you. I appreciate you clicking on the video and actually, you know, getting this far. Like, I appreciate your assistance. I really do. I appreciate this, but, like, there's just no reason for this game to exist. Like, I don't know why it exists. And it's not in, like, the bewildering way. Okay, I guess it is in the bewildering way. It's in the way that, like, I don't know why this is a game. Like, I don't know what the market is. I don't know who would want to play it. I don't get it. And the fact that I'm reviewing it is honestly more of me trying to get it out of the way to, like, not have to deal with it anymore in my, like, queue than actually having anything really interesting to talk about, because the game itself is not interesting. So, you know what? I'm completely fine. Like, thanks for the click. You gave me the tally. Give me a thumbs up if you want, or give me a thumbs down. I don't know. Whatever you feel like. But, like, you could kind of stop right now, because we're going to be talking about leverage. Why is this here? Why does this exist? Like, I get it. People like different things. But how many people who play role-playing games are watching TNT? TNT is like the odd middle-aged person television channel that you forget exists until you see some horrifically edited TV version of the movie Speed or like some basketball game. How many people who play role-playing games are honestly watching shows like Rizzoli and Isles or Saving Grace? But I mean, here we are. Here I am sitting in this chair talking about this game. And, you know, there's people out this game can be played. Like, the TNT television show Leverage is a game that you can purchase and you can play with your friends. I don't know where you're going to get all the friends who watched Leverage, a show that was canceled 6 years ago. But, okay, maybe there's enough of you out there. Good job. I applaud you. But just for the rest of us in this world, I can't find a reason why this game exists. I just can't. I get it, okay? I get it. People like different things in this world, and you could like different television shows. I admit I'm not the biggest television show watcher. And, like, the concept of a heist game is one that can be cool, but why base it on the TNT show like Leverage? I never watched Leverage, but it at least seemed like a TV show that was mildly interesting, but relatively bland. Maybe it's got some more nerd cred because Will Wheaton was on the show, I think. But that's really about it that I can think of. Okay, let me just throw this out there for aspiring RPG creators. If you're going to seek out and get the licensing for a television show to make an RPG out of, I mean, if you really want to go that far, make sure it's iconic. Make sure it is a game with a very strong and vocal group of people, community, whatever, that like it. You have to go out and find people who are willing to be like, who are willing to watch the show year after year, who are willing to go to cons dressed up as the characters. You have to, like, find the TV show that works. Like, you know, Angel and Supernatural are shows that work. Or, like, Battlestar Galactica or Star Trek. Leverage? From what I can tell, Leverage seemed like a good show. Like, it seemed a little interesting, if not bland, but it is far from being iconic. I mean, I don't even know anyone who remembers it. The game, for better or worse, is brought to us by Margaret Weis Productions and the Cortex System, the same people behind the Firefly and Serenity RPGs that also came out recently. Alrighty, we have a point of comparison here. We have a TV show, Firefly, vastly considered to be underrated, has a very large community of people that like it, can generate products, has a lot of credibility, and then you have Leverage, a game that exists, is using the same system. I mean, take a wild guess which one is more known than the other one. And the system itself is okay. I thought I would harp on it more when I reviewed Serenity and Firefly, but here we are, we're already talking about it. The Cortex system is a D12 system in which players collect dice to make a dice pool. D12s being the best of the best, similar to 5 slots in World of Darkness, and D4s being the worst, or whenever you are a relative novice in that field. You try to justify getting as many dice as possible into your dice pool by convincing the storyteller that some things are applicable, and then you roll the dice and you see what results that you get. You also have chips that can also be used to manipulate the game's proceedings. The system it's okay. It's definitely roleplay heavy, the book says as much, but really the system itself can be a little bad. It's one of the ones that actually tells you to forego all character deaths. It is the one in which you can use chips to literally manipulate whatever story the storyteller has going on by playing it and saying this is a plot point now. Things like that. It's much more of like the storyteller and players sort of crafting a story than it is a storyteller walking through an adventure with a group of players. And with something like Firefly, that could be a little forgiven because the setting is really good and they get a lot of like the mythos and build upon the universe. With Leverage, it's got nothing. So really, it brings out all the flaws of the system without giving anything back in return. I think this goes to show just how a setting that doesn't seem optimal can bring out the flaws of a system. Firefly, the system seems okay. It has its flaws. They aren't huge problems. You're still playing Firefly, you're still immersed in your world, and it gave you a lot of information about the world itself. Really cool. Leverage just makes everything drag all the more, which raises the question, again, why does this game exist? I think that I have well established that I'm not a fan of the series at all. I didn't, and not even that I hated it, I never watched it. I didn't even really know it existed except for an occasional television show. But, there are other shows out there that have games that I never watched that I can understand why they have games. I never watched a single episode of Angel. I can understand why it exists. I know people who watched Angel. I know people who like Angel. Angel was based, I think, off of Buffy the Vampire Slayer or a show like that. So it has a pre-built-in mythos around it. I can understand that. I think I may have watched one episode of Supernatural in my life. If that, or maybe I cobbled together 5 different episodes of Supernatural to make one. To make one total one, different aspects of them, but I can understand 100% why Supernatural the RPG exists. The reason being is because Supernatural is a huge TV show with a huge community of people who are going to watch it. Leverage, I do not know anybody who watched Leverage. I don't know a single person, especially I don't know anybody who are part of my friend groups or part of anyone I ever talked to that watched it. I'm sure there are people out there, but I don't know why, it just doesn't seem like it has a big enough zeitgeist to really generate enough need for a role-playing game. There seems to be so many more popular shows that you could choose from. I can justify Walking Dead, Hell on Wheels, True Blood, another one that was out around the same time, that you could do besides Leverage. There were multiple opportunities. I mean, heck, I think this was before the Game of Thrones RPG was created, and Game of Thrones was a TV show at that time. You had options, and you went with a vague TNT show that most people under the age of 30 have not watched. So where does this stand with this thing? Not good. Overall, Leverage is a game that dragged because it wasn't big enough of a television show to merit its own RPG. Shows like Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, Firefly, and so forth earn their fandoms and people willing to follow them, and people willing to buy a book of a game to play in it. Leverage? Not so much. It is a show quickly being lost to the sands of time to be remembered as, oh yeah, okay, I think I kind of remember that show, maybe, I think so. It's one of those shows. Due to this, it brings out some of the worst flaws of the system. It kind of actually drags Firefly and Serenity down a little bit more now that I see the system outside of a setting that I really like. It is very stripped. The game is basically argue your way into a bigger dice pool type of system, and you can use chips to completely manipulate the game's proceedings. And really, these flaws can be covered if you are truly invested in source material, but in this case, I doubt there are very many who are. With that said, this game is definitely getting a miss. And thank you so much for the 3 people who decided to keep watching to the end of this video. You truly are the people who have the most stamina. Until next time, I promise it'll be something at least more memorable.